Welcome back to the We Valiant Few Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Slapshot.
Crossfire's here.
Raptor.
And today, we bring you episode 17 of our season 2, and we will be discussing Loadouts.
Yes, so Loadouts in the sense that we're going to be talking about what you would use on different types of engagements. Say like plate carrier setups, medical setups, or even something as simple as like everyday carry. So
different strokes for different things.
different clubs for different parts of the golf course.
Yes, that's even better.
Yeah. Of course, the way we always start things off with, if you would like to interact with us, you can get a hold of us on our Discord. We're trying to get our community there. Again, you can talk with us. You can talk about the subject of today's episode, past episodes, create a discussion. We have, you can find us on Instagram. We're starting to post there a lot more. And you can find us on YouTube. We're starting to put supplements to all of the videos that are of the nature of, like, say, this Loadout video. We have one coming. It'll be live the time the podcast is live. And we also have our website, WeValiantFew.com.
WeValiantFew.com has all of our links to everything, so if you happen to forget anything, you can just go straight to our site and find anything you need.
Super easy to find. And then lastly, please share this around with people. Again, as we've said in our previous episodes, we're trying to do a grassroots approach to things. Again, if you think we're doing good or you'd like to help us out, please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your family's friends. And we would really appreciate that.
Tell your dog, tell your neighbor's dog, tell your dog's friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they probably won't watch, but
dogs are viewers too.
Yeah, yep.
Just tape the phone to their head and send her off.
Send her off, yeah. As always with season 2, I think we should get into some current events. Something that really kind of fits along with what we've been trying to say about, the preparation and where, we're really super constitutional based, especially Second Amendment. Utah passed, they actually passed it into law where you do not need to have a concealed carry permit to carry a concealed weapon.
So they were trying to pass it, and when did they officially pass it?
It was on the 12th, I believe.
That's lit. We need to move out to Utah now.
Isn't that awesome?
That's constitutional carry. There's other places that have constitutional carry. I'm fairly certain Tennessee is constitutional carry.
That sounds right, yeah.
But yeah.
Like you said, there's several states do it. So, I mean, it's literally you're allowed to... Well, amazingly, they actually acknowledge the Second Amendment. How about that, huh?
You don't need a license or given to you by the government to carry a weapon concealed. You literally just can because it is your inherent right.
You don't need a piece of plastic that determines that you can have your gun. I mean,
because they didn't really have that back in ye old Constitution days.
You carried a scroll with you. Something else in firearms news I thought would be interesting to talk about was Colt was sold to a Czech company. I have the name on the screen there.
I can't say
it's
that.
Gonna bush your,
there are a lot of letters that with the accents. Seska Zavroshka, something like that. Group SC, they're a Czech company. I just thought it was I don't know. The word I can come up with is kind of sad.
I mean, that's the same thing with like
Remington.
Remington was parted out.
Yeah.
Colt, which is they made the M4 for a long time. They
1911.
made the 1911. They made these are
M16.
historic.
Yeah.
I mean, Armalite came out with the first M16.
Sorry.
Regardless,
XM16 actually. Yeah.
But just the fact that these are kind of iconic names, and
that's what I mean. That's why it's sad.
Now they're getting sold to outside companies.
So does that mean they're going to be manufactured in the Czech?
I don't entirely know how that's going to work. I would imagine if they have the factories and stuff set up, they're probably not going to move them. But I would imagine the management is going to move to Czech, to that company.
Okay, so with Remington? Were they bought by a Chinese company?
I think their different assets were ported out to different companies.
Yeah,
right?
Different assets. Like the ammo business was sent to someone else. The rifle, like the firearm, actually making firearms business was sold to someone else. Like it was parted out, like you part out a car.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Same deal.
So that's that's I just thought that'd be worth mentioning again. Second Amendment.
Well, I guess we'll see where Colt manufactures its rifles then, and everything else.
I don't really even hear much of people buying Colt, like actually Colt branded stuff.
No, because like if they buy the quote unquote M4, they'll go with something like a SIG or like a Ruger, or they'll get like a PSA or something.
Well, I just
you know?
never see people carrying them, even at stores. I mean, that's probably why they got sold and whatever.
Really, just very rarely. I've seen a couple like actual like H bars and stuff like that, like old H bars, but they're like you said, they're just few and far in between.
Yeah, I have an actual Colt 1911, or it's a 1991 A1 technically.
Yeah.
So is Colt like the, would you call it like Gucci gun?
No.
Definitely,
it's like
definitely.
middle of the road.
Yeah, because like a Kimber 1911 is better than a Colt 1911.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. The tolerances are just better factually, but Colt designed it.
Samuel.
Yeah, really. Getting on to the next topic. Trump acquitted.
What's the point?
Yeah,
It's even funnier the second time.
I just wanted to make the note of he is now officially the most acquitted president in history.
I never thought about it like that.
Quote the Babylon Bee.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like they're grasping at straws. Their arguments were trash. It was literally nothing but emotional freaking responses and
doctored evidence.
Like
that was the point.
It was literally a joke. The whole thing was a joke. The fact that more people voted to impeach him than because it required a 2/3 vote. And I'm fairly certain they just... it was a majority, yeah.
Majority for impeachment, 2/3 vote to remove.
Yeah, to remove. But he was already removed. It was completely pointless. They were trying to impeach a private citizen at that point.
Do you know why do you know the actual reason why they did it?
No.
Because they wanted to impeach him on the 14th Amendment, which was the incitement of insurrection. And then if that was the case, it would bar him from running from office again.
But regular impeachment, it's just...
They wanted to stick him with that so that way he couldn't run again, because everybody knows he's going to try to run again in 2024 or have some hand in it.
Yeah. I would much rather he endorse people and rally people than actually run again, because it's not doing anything super well.
I agree with that.
For the Republican Party at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Moving on, Trudeau, February 16th, so this was on Tuesday. Trudeau government is putting a bill forward that would allow local municipalities to ban handguns.
If you don't know who Trudeau is, that is the Prime Minister of Canada, who is basically a communist.
Yeah, be careful looking up who he is with your kids around. Sometimes you just see a picture of an asshole instead.
Well, Trudeau did blackface too.
Yeah,
so, but he's fine.
Yeah,
he's not canceled.
No, it's the whole thing is just wrong. Of course, we're super pro firearms. Of course, we believe that that's your right to have that
human right to protect yourself.
I know it's Canada, so it doesn't fall underneath our constitution. I just find it interesting that we talk about they're going to try to pass a law to ban your guns, and it'd be like, nah, it's never going to happen. It happens, and then surprise Pikachu face.
A little bit north.
Yeah, a couple.
Where the Meese live.
Yeah, really. I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about because I think it's obscene. I literally don't know what else to call it.
I would agree.
And I think it's a gross violation of rights. I think people should have the right to defend themselves no matter where they're at. And then two other fast points I wanted to touch. There were a couple more people arrested for the Capitol stuff.
Yeah, there was a couple articles I saw that they were actually registered Democrats, weren't they?
I did not see that. That would be interesting.
There was definitely some articles out there. I forget. Please don't quote me on this. I don't remember what the article came from or where it came from. It was a valid news article, though, or news source. And there were some people that were arrested that were registered Democrats.
Interesting. Well, there goes your. It was just the right, huh?
No, I mean, it doesn't actually matter. The facts don't matter. It's just whatever.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Right, unless they're Democrats, and then feelings are the only thing that matter, and facts bend to your will.
Yeah.
What people were arrested that you were going to mention?
I didn't see anything in particular except that there were a couple articles put out saying 5 more people arrested is the one I saw. Yep. And that's gonna be the never end all event.
No, I'm sure.
It's just gonna keep rolling for years and years and years,
Just 2 years later, oh wait, someone from the Capitol protest from 3 years ago got arrested.
Like the guy who literally got arrested for having that thing that he put out about the 2016 election of if you want to vote, text this. Remember, he's in jail over that.
What?
Yeah, it was for the 2016 election that he put out a thing on Twitter saying, "Yeah, if you want to vote, if you don't miss your vote, text this number." It was a satirical piece, right? And they actually arrested him for election tampering, like just like a couple weeks ago. And it took him that long. So again, they don't let it go, right?
Be careful what you say or post or anything on the internet nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, including this. Like,
I was just gonna say, what about what we're talking about?
Hey, I mean, we've already kind of accepted the fact that we can easily be canceled. Our lives can easily be ruined.
Yeah, but I feel what we have to say is important enough to risk that.
Speaking of canceled, before we get to our last bullet point of current events, what's going on with Australia and Facebook?
Oh, yeah, I didn't get a chance to update on there. Yeah, Australia. Yeah, Facebook banned all news in Australia. So,
Why?
like, because Australia wanted them to pay for using their news to something to that extent. So, literally, like, if you have Facebook in Australia and you open up, there's, like, no news at all.
That's a good alternative, honestly.
I talked to my friend who is an Australian, and he confirmed that that's the case. He said his Facebook has no news at all, and he can't find any news stuff. Gone.
That's great.
So what about like Twitter?
I
imagine Twitter's
that is not Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Twitter is not Facebook.
Right, but
They'll probably follow suit.
They're not owned together.
They're not?
No. They're two.
Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg are two completely different reptiles.
I think I'm thinking of Instagram. Two different websites.
Yeah. Facebook owns Instagram.
I'm
Although
sorry.
I've noticed. I think Instagram's better. It seems like they're a little
more.
bit
The demographic of Instagram is a lot
broader,
better.
Yeah.
More people. More like Facebook is now looked at as like MySpace nowadays. Like whenever because I never had a MySpace.
Oh my god, can we create a We Valiant Few MySpace?
that might be
Does MySpace still exist?
an untapped market. It might. We'll have to follow.
It's niche. We're hipsters. We're using old media. It's like using records.
Old media. Yeah, as we look at the
Stay tuned. After this episode, we might have a We Valiant Few MySpace.
That's
we'll
cringy.
That.
The last point I want to make on current events, this one I feel particularly interested in, and it's that Cuomo's under fire for all the shady stuff with the nursing home deaths.
No, it's about freaking time.
I feel that it's kind of. I don't think anything's going to happen over that. I think they're going to let him off because basically those Democratic governors are just completely like tyrannical to the point where they have no justice on them.
No.
And I don't think anything's going to happen, but it's nice that at least people are getting on his case about it. Something else too about tyrannical Democratic governors. Did you guys hear about Gavin Newsom?
I heard something about it.
He's like dramatically close to a recall.
Oh, very.
Like they have enough. They have like enough signatures in, or like not enough yet, but like they're like within like 5% or something of enough signatures to pull a recall.
Jeez,
that's crazy. I don't know if they've ever done something like that. But
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, it's fine. Like these big name Gavin Newsom, isn't he the California?
Yep, California governor. Yep.
And then Cuomo's the New York
Yep.
governor.
Yep.
Like
the two worst
massive,
states,
awful states that for gun rates and stuff like that. And
COVID response.
COVID response. I mean, Cuomo literally threw people in nursing homes and they died because of it.
I saw this thing that was like, you ever see that meme where the dude is like, he gets the medal at the Olympics and he's like biting down the medal and he's like spraying champagne everywhere and he's last.
Yeah.
It was like that. And it was titled COVID or states COVID-19 response, and it was a picture of Cuomo and it zoomed out and he was like 50th. I'm like, all right, that's pretty true. Yeah, but I just, like you said, I think it's nice to have some slight bit of a hope at justice. Although I don't think anything's gonna happen.
Yeah, nothing ever does.
All right, but again, all this ties into our traditional segue of.
Wake up!
You can obviously see, especially the Canada one, like, holy crap, like that would be like wherever your local municipality just being like, oh yeah, you're not allowed guns anymore.
Or we can pick and choose. Like
we can pick and choose
here in Cherry Grove, Maryland, because I wonder if that place is real.
It might be.
Do you just think of that off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll just say Springfield because there's a Springfield in like every state.
Yeah, in Springfield, the cops decided that you're not allowed to have a Ruger AR-15.
You're forced to just use revolvers.
Oh no! Well, I guess if
you're not allowed semi-automatic handguns.
Only revolvers.
What if you were forced to use break action handguns?
or just
What?
Those
Mother-
exist. I have one. It's awesome.
flintlocks only.
Ye old smoke machines.
Matt from Demolition Ranch has a break action 50 BMG.
Is it a Serbu?
I don't actually
Does
know
it have?
what it
Does
is.
the back of the gun screw on?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a Serbu. Those things are so. It's a piece of pipe. That's a 50 cal. I can't tell whether they're awesome or horrifying. I'm not sure yet. They're cheap though. They're like $1,800.
You can at least say you own a 50.
Yeah, really.
Regardless.
But again, you should be aware of all the stuff that's going on, and you should prepare yourself accordingly. Just like we preach this whole season. 'Cause the season's about prepare yourself.
Exactly. So, the next step in our preparation phase is building a loadout.
Yeah, and again, like I'd mentioned at the beginning of the show, loadout basically means what equipment you have on you
At your disposal.
at your disposal for the situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like I may have a different loadout for my whenever I'm on the range. My loadout would change depending on what situation I'm preparing for. Maybe my loadout is my EDC or concealed carry loadout, where I'm just wearing normal clothes and I have my concealed carry weapon, and I practice in that configuration. Or maybe I have my bigger threat loadout, which includes my rifle, my plate carrier, my and everything else that goes along with that, my gas mask, whatever it is. Like, you're preparing a set of gear that is designed to
deal with the threat level.
deal with a specific threat, and each situation may require different tools for the job.
And I would say it's better to overestimate too on that. Like, for instance, if you think something's going to be light, but there could be a chance that it's bigger, carry that extra pieces to load up. We'll use everyday carry, but with the chance of an intermediate threat, you would take whatever that extra equipment is. Again, say plate carrier, rifle, and you would conceal it in a vehicle or something.
Conceal it in a bag.
And just keep that within reach in case that you need it. Again, just to prepare yourself, because you don't want to be the person who is underprepared for something. You hope that you never have to use it.
Yeah, of course.
But you'd rather have it and not need to use it than need to use it and not have it.
Exactly, and in most cases, when we think of our EDCs, we're just carrying our T-Rex armed sidecars and our handguns. But the point of having that sidecar is that having that extra magazine. It's rather to be prepared and have that extra ammo if you really need it than to not have it.
Yeah, because if I'm not, we're preparing for the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario can literally be anything. I'm not going to prepare for the best case scenario where I can pull my firearm out once and fire one round and the threat is over. I'm preparing, the worst case scenario has already happened. So we're gonna, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that Murphy's Law in that situation is going to take effect. Meaning
The worst thing is going to happen.
everything is going to go wrong. So I want to be prepared for as many worst case scenarios as I possibly can, while still maintain, obviously I'm not going to walk outside in a juggernaut suit every day, but I'm going to reasonably prepare. I think it's reasonable to carry a full magazine and an extra one at a minimum in a handgun.
Yeah, I think
that's way more than reasonable.
Yeah, especially in a concealed manner, that's convenient, like you said, with the sidecars. I mean, everything's just right there. It's one package that you basically people can't even tell you have one on.
Yeah.
So again, that's.
I wear it literally every day, all day.
I don't leave the house without it, at least something.
Yeah.
But again, that's if there's that, or we can use what happened with the riots that started the whole concept of us wanting to do something like this. You build up a heavier set. I know we had we had enough to last us about a day of equipment, because that's what we thought. I mean, again, it's just situationally dependent. And especially with a situation like that where you are there to protect other people, you have to change it around to not just be you. Maybe more medical, something like that.
Yeah.
I know that's what we did. We had extra medical on hand, and we even had extra people that their sole purpose was to carry around medical equipment in case somebody was hurt.
Yeah.
Because we weren't there instigating. We were there trying to protect our buildings and whatnot and help people. That's what we were.
Yeah, and it also comes down to you have your individual loadout, and then as a team you have a team loadout where you've got different roles are being filled by different people with different specialized gear, and that maybe I can't carry around all this medical, or I have enough medical for me, but Joe Schmo, he's got all of this medical stuff, so he's got extra medical in his kit, whereas I might have more bullets, or maybe better radio equipment, or a means to get signal out, or like whatever it may be. You've got different rules in the group, and you want to like cover as many bases as you possibly can.
Yeah, and you all work together as one. I don't want to say organism,
unit.
but everything. Unit. Everything moves together, and that's the whole point of it. So again, just build the loadout or specific to the situation while taking all this other stuff into account. Like again, if you're going into something, you and every person on your team have exactly the same loadout. It's probably not the best idea. Like
I mean, it's not a bad idea, but it's also like it can be improved.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. So from there, I think what would be basic loadout requirements. I think would be the next step to go from there. So. Assuming we're going through and talking about firearm specific stuff, because you can think of any type of loadout. Like I consider, like, say a mechanic carrying out a toolbox. That toolbox having various tools in it is technically a loadout.
Yeah, it's a loadout of a toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, it straight up is. Because it's just the tools you have on hand for whatever you need. But we're going to go forward assuming that we're talking, firearms related stuff. So basic thing, of course, is the literal firearm. Yeah. If you have your EDC, then it's your EDC itself. Or
I mean, we talked about like the EDC loadouts in our EDC videos, how we carry, like, we've got our firearm, which is like the main meat and potatoes of the thing, but we also carry
all the other little
knives,
accessories,
lights, whatever it may be.
Yeah, check out our EDC video or the EDC podcast. We go into a lot more detail about that.
But I think the bigger thing talking about is well,
the firearm's what everything's centered around.
Yeah.
Or if you're not someone who's carrying a firearm, say you're someone who does medical, then everything's centered around that, because you kind of, well, actually, not even kind of, your particular loadout serves a very particular purpose. I mean, and you could even say that you have a general loadout and you have other things that fit it.
Yeah.
But say again, you're someone who's doing fire support, you have the ammunition on, you have the weapon, all that goes together. And your loadout is designed to not only complement that, to support that role, and support yourself. And again, if you're in a team environment, support your team. So I mean, again, firearms a basic thing. If you're like medium level threat, I consider getting a plate carrier.
I would say plate carriers,
or at least like an armored bag, like your EDC bag.
Yeah, I definitely recommend armor, because what is offense without defense? You need defense in order to stay in the fight, because I mean, everyone's killable, we're killable, everyone is killable.
Yeah.
And giving yourself the best possible chance, or what's the word I'm looking for? We'll use chance for now. But best possible chance to make it out of that threat.
And leverage the situation.
Yeah, to give you a better advantage, basically. Like, you want to give yourself every advantage you possibly can in that worst case scenario, so that you and the people that you're trying to protect make it out in one piece.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. So I think what are some type of, like, we'll start with carriers. What would be some carriers you recommend? I think we're pretty much all shellback.
We all have shellback carriers. Yep.
Yeah, and then I would say like the T-Rex arms, AC1.
Yeah, that's,
if you can find it in stock, that thing's awesome.
The
very adaptable.
AR-500 works.
Just talking about those two carriers are two very different carriers.
They're dramatically different.
The shellback carrier is a much more like full military style, like Molly on the whole thing. Ours in particular are multicam, but they've got full Molly on them, which is the weave system used to attach magazines and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a modular attachment system.
Whereas the T-Rex arms is a slick plate carrier, meaning it's got very little Molly on it, if any.
It's all Velcro.
It's all Velcro, I think. And it's designed to be relatively concealable, and it's also designed to not, like, you're not carrying like an AT4 with this thing on. I mean, I guess you can, but
because you could buy, I mean, because those AC1s are so slick, like you could literally have one and throw a hoodie on over it, and you could have a hard time telling. Or like if it was a heavier jacket, say it looks in the winter or something like that, you could literally hide it.
Yeah, you could.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
And
But, like-
I definitely couldn't hide my shell back.
Oh God, no.
It's
No.
much thicker. It's got more
Otherwise,
fabric.
You're sitting there looking like you have some type of serious hunchback problem. But seriously, again, like you said, they fill two dramatically different roles, but they're both very good carriers.
Yeah.
Again, assuming you can find the AC1 in stock.
Yeah, there's no real wrong answer when it comes to carriers. It depends upon your role. I mean, depending upon who, I don't want to say operate with, but who in your group that you work with and train with, everyone might fill a different role. For example, if you watch our YouTube video, my role is more so like a recon kind of role. I travel light. I only have 3 mags stacked in the front, whereas Blackbeard has 6. So he's more of the fire support. I'm more of the lightweight, can maneuver around more often than he would be able to, be more agile. So it really depends upon what you're trying to go for.
And there's also a lot of configurations. Like, you don't have to carry 6. That's the cool thing about the loadouts, is that you can configure it like kind of exactly the way that you want it.
And that's the point.
Because you run 3 mags on the front. I run 3 mags on the front, but I also carry the same amount of magazines as Blackbeard does, just on different spots of my body. So instead of having
you the side ones, right?
well, instead of having 6 up here, I've got 3 up the front, 1 in the gun, and then 2 extra on my belt for quicker acquisition to reload, because it's much faster to reload from your belt than it is from that. And it's also
magnet or like that are bungeed down. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also giving me more magazines for, like, I can go prone easier. I can do a whole lot of other things that allow me to be more mobile just by spreading out the gear instead of having it all in one place.
Yeah. See, I have 6 in the front. I don't like it. So
Yeah, that's why I used to have 6.
You have a literal table in front of you.
These are these mags aren't tables.
Yeah.
But I mean, what all this boils down to, it's gonna be the same thing we always say: do your research. Figure out what best fits your situation. And if you have any questions for that, you can get a hold of us on our Discord.
Oh God damn, that was a great plug.
Wasn't it? We basically, like, I don't want to say live and breathe this stuff, but we're pretty well versed in this, and we can definitely give you some advice on if you're looking at this type of carrier, or if you're looking at this. I know some. There's a real price difference between that type of stuff. So
I mean, you also have to be careful though, because you had made the Slapshot had made the comment on it doesn't really matter the plate carrier. It does to a point. Like, I wouldn't recommend a Condor plate carrier just because the stitching is not ideal. If that's all you can afford, or you already have it, then run what you have.
Or if it's one of those situations where it's the only thing you can find in stock, because nothing is better, or something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because I know, especially now with the shortages and all that stuff, you can.
It takes like 24 weeks to get a JPC.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, again, do your research, figure out what's in stock, figure out what fits your needs. That's the moral of it, you know. As far as weapons go, I think the easiest thing to recommend, of course, is just like your standard AR-15. Yeah. I think that's pretty much what everybody rolls with. Or the majority of people roll with it.
I mean, it's the easiest one to get a hold of for the most part.
Easiest
nowadays.
platform to adjust to.
They're cheap, they're reliable.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
People are familiar with them. They're easy to handle versus, like, I know we work with AKs, and AKs, the control system on an AK is a lot different than an AR. Like,
it's different, yeah, but I mean, at least because at the moment we're learning running AKs. Like, we're learning how to operate them effectively. A lot of us have a lot of time behind AR-15 platforms, whether it be through airsoft, whether it be through the military, whether it be through just having an AR-15, but a lot of us are much more familiar with the manual of arms on ARs than we are AKs, and this is just us taking an opportunity to get better with something else, or try something else, to make comparisons, to really see, like, where maybe each other shine.
Yeah, because, like, an AR will scale to a wide variety of farms. Like again, Tavors like that way. Certain Galils are that way. That have the straight-in magazine AUGs are that way. So once you learn how to run the AR, the fire control setup on the other guns is very similar. And the AK is the same way. There's a lot of guns that take the rocket magazines. Like HK stuff. The G3 is a rocket.
The M14 too.
The M14 is a rocket. Yeah. So, like, what we're trying to do is try to get the basics, and I mean, those two are pretty easily obtainable, so you can learn the variety of them. So again, AR is what I would recommend though, just for if you're getting into it. Just because, again, I think it's easier. I think a lot of people just happen to have those laying around. Yeah. A lot of people run them so that you have the team symbiotics that we keep mentioning.
Yeah, I know you guys are just trying to get into the AK platform just to learn a new type of build, right? And like when it comes to working with a team, like in an actual like active shooter scenario, like everyone's together, you're gonna probably be running your AR-15.
Absolutely.
Because when it comes to I'm out of ammo, hey man, like let me throw mag. Right.
Well, that's definitely part of it. I think another thing too with the ARs, at least in America, is you can get a lot more variety of ammunition than you can with the AKs. Like you.
Yeah, because it's the import laws.
Yeah, the import laws. That's the big thing. So you can get green tip AR or 5.56. You can get green tip 5.56 easily, but like getting a steel core 7.62 is not easy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely part of it that goes into it, and like you said, the team setup is definitely why I would run the AR, because everybody else runs AR. So like you said, if you're out of one thing or another, you can go back and forth with that. So that's something to consider. And then again, like the brands and that type of stuff, I would definitely say like Ruger again is cheap. I wouldn't. I'm just thinking of what's around, what's available that people would run into on a normal basis.
M&Ps
in no particular order yet.
They work. Rugers, they work.
Sig are like Sig is like higher. I would recommend them.
Yeah, it's like medium.
I still like my PSA. I don't really have anything to complain about it. It was a cheap gun, and it works.
I like my PSA AK. I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to complain about that. I wouldn't go with an FN AR.
FNs are actually really high.
Why is that? They're high priced.
Well, they're high priced, and they're the closest AR-15 you can get to a M4.
No, why wouldn't you get an FN AR?
It's like, the last one I saw, when this was before everything kind of exploded in price, you could get the Ruger for $500, and the FN was $1,400.
Well, if you can afford, that's the thing.
It's
better parts if you can afford
thing, yeah.
it. Do you want a Daniel? Do you want the Cadillac or do you want the Chevy?
Okay, let's make it even more extreme. Would you buy a War Sports LVOA? They're like $3,200.
No, I would.
What
not.
is that?
That is Gucci.
Love OCE. It's super Gucci.
It's awesome.
It's so Gucci. I've never heard of it.
It's extra Gucci.
Post show, there's some cool things about it, but again, that's a $3,200 AR that does the same thing as that FN. So again,
it may do it better slightly. Maybe it lasts longer. Maybe
it does it a hell of a lot cooler. Like just looking, but that's the difference. Coley and Nomar did a nice video on that. But again, those are just the brands off the top of my head. Thinking of what the value per dollar is. If you
if you just need a tool like a shovel to dig a hole, just buy the shovel.
That's what I'm thinking.
Don't buy the gold-plated shovel. You don't need that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. Like the majority of our audience are probably first time. Like this, at least this particular thing is going to be tailored to a first time gun purchaser. Going straight out buying
a Daniel Defense, is it necessary? No, because it's almost like it's also like modifying a car. Like most of the time, you don't start out with the car that
Lexus
you want.
Right off the bat.
You start out with the Corolla, and maybe you're into cars, so you start modifying it, and maybe you do some stupid high school thing that looks really dumb and it's over the top or whatever. But you learn that you don't have to do all that. Or
big exhaust.
Yeah. So whenever it's time to get the more respected vehicle. Than someone.
Yeah, but you have a knowledge going into it. Yeah, that's why
what you appreciate.
Are you implying I should put an exhaust on my car?
No,
you should. You should put 2 cherry bombs in series.
Should I suicide the doors?
Oh my goodness, that would be so bad. But again, do your research. That's what it all comes down to. What fits your price point? What's something that again is an overkill if you're a beginner, but if you're intermediate, then go for one of these. Go for one of those better brands. Or build it yourself.
Or maybe you have a ton of money and you just want to buy the best thing on the market.
There's no problem with that either. Yeah. Again, just figure out what fits your bill, and that's that.
And these brands we're recommending, especially for ARs, for first-time AR buyers, like Ruger, Sig, those are very respectable brands to start out with. And it's a little bit different for handguns, I would say.
Let's not. I wouldn't say I recommend them. If I would say I probably recommend the M&P. Just because I think their stuff is relatively good. I don't know. I honestly haven't had enough time behind any of them to really seriously recommend them, I'm going off of other people's recommendations. I know most people don't recommend Ruger and Smith & Wesson. I know people do recommend SIG and Daniel Defense and FN and stuff like that. So
I guess phrase it up this way.
There's no shame in buying what you can afford.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were thinking. I'd say if we were going to come out and recommend a single brand to buy that's again not super overboard, it would probably be SIG. We're SIG fans.
Yeah,
Unless you're buying a High Point.
Yeah, don't buy a High Point.
Yeah,
that's the point I was trying to get to. Is like when it comes to handguns, though, it's just like High Point. Don't buy a High Point handgun because you're relying on something for your life, and you don't want to rely on that.
Literally, just look
life.
up any High Point video.
Now this, I mean, and we're pretty much at the end of the episode here, but this is something that I really want to send off. What if you buy a High Point and put an OLED on it? Are you holding 2 grenades?
Yes. That's like a double destructive device.
You just made my brain fry.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I feel that's I know, right? But I figure again that's the wrap up. I think it's easy. I think the easiest thing to do again is just do your research.
Yep, that's what it all comes down to. We can't tell you what's the best and what's the worst. When it really comes down to it, it's just what can you afford, what fits your role, and more importantly, just honestly watch a lot of YouTube videos, read some articles about any firearm that you're looking to purchase.
Or again, you can get a hold of us on our Discord.
Yeah, if you want some specific advice, like you want your handheld. I mean, I wouldn't. If we get huge, it may not be able to do that as much, but
we'll get dedicated people that do that.
For right now, we're down to give individual recommendations, because I don't want to go to a broad audience and say this is great, and then it's not great, and then we get like murdered on the internet.
Mail.
I'm only going to give recommendations off what I've used.
Yeah, or at least had some time with,
Yeah.
But again, Discord, we're always on there. If you want to get a hold of us, that's the easiest way. Criticism on this episode or suggestions for new episodes are definitely welcome. We'll definitely take all that into consideration. We have our different social medias. You can get a hold of us, you can follow us on our Instagram. I think we're doing pretty good with that so far. We're actually starting to post. We're on a regular posting schedule, and there are some funny stuff on there, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, Raptor is our CMEO, stands for Chief Meme Officer. So
I'm also having very intellectual conversations in the story.
Yeah, actually got some good story elements there for sure. Polls?
Yeah, we got polls. I like asking questions, and I like asking your opinions.
And seeing the answers is interesting.
Yeah, seeing the answers.
Opinions matter.
Yeah. But again, there's that. We do have our YouTube. That's starting to grow pretty good. There will be a supplement to this episode that goes live when this episode goes live. We're going to be doing the youtube.wevaliantfew.com. We'll take you to our YouTube site, and we also have it tagged in the description of wherever you see this podcast at. And of course, when all else fails, that's all accessible through our website, WeValiantFew.com, or you can literally just search We Valiant Few in Google, and it will take you to the website. We actually have SEO running on that now, and everything's all linked on there. And the last point is just please, if you think we're doing a good job, please share this to your friends, family, etc.
Absolutely. We're trying to grow our audience base. We'd like it to be more genuine, so we want people to really be interested in this and seek our podcast out to listen to it. We don't want to force our way out there into people that don't exactly care. We want you guys to be as passionate about this as we are.
Certainly.
And we want,
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else to add?
No. The only thing I have to add is, do you guys like foregrips?
Yeah.
I like foregrips.
You like foregrips?
Yeah.
I'm glad.